Good evening, class. Today I'll take you through BDA paper December 2023 sitting question 22. I'll go through the question. Safari Limited is evaluating a project with the following details. Initial investment, shillings 100 million. Residual value, shillings 10 million. Year 1 project cash flow, shillings 25 million. Annual cash flow growth rate, 10%. Project life is 5 years. Then required A, complete the following project metrics. Roman 1, the payback period. Roman 2, the net present value, NPV. Roman 3, the profitability index. Part B, using a graph, determine the project's internal rate of return. So this is how we'll go about it. First, I love to put this value, these shillings into numbers. So I'll just say initial investment, I'll write 100 million here. For residual value, I'll also put 10 million. For year 1 cash flow, I'll also write numbers, 25 million. So I'll increase this, the seller. Yeah, this is okay. So we have a 10%, then I'll use the WCC, which you have been given 12%. So I'll pick that 12% also. Then now compute the following project matrix. So this is how you'll go about it. So I'll start with the initial, the year of investment, which is 0, and it has a 5-year project life. So I'll go to home, then series, so that I can fill it faster. My step value is 1, then I stop at 5 years. Yes, so then I'll bold this, bold it, then create the bottom border. Good. Yeah, then because this question did not have the tax aspect, now I'll take the cash flows as the operating cash flows of the project. So I'll say operating cash flows. So I'll increase the size of this cell. Sorry. This is supposed to reduce this. Say the operating cash flow. So I'll start with year 1. Year 1, we have been given 25 million. So for year 2, we are told that this is a growth rate of 10%. So I'll pick the year 1, then multiply by 1 plus the 10% growth rate. So I'll lock it completely because it's constant all through by F4 and enter. So when I enter, I'll just drag this to copy up to 5 years. Then I'll go to initial investment. So initial investment starts at year 0. So I'll say equals, and it's a cash outflow. So I'll say negative. Put it there. Then we have the residual value, which is also known as the salvage value, or is also called the terminal benefit. So I'll use for terminal benefit. So it's at the year 5, at the end of the project life cycle. So I'll pick it, 10. Then this is what we call the free cash flow. So in year 0, we'll only have that one. Then from year 1 to 4, I'll just copy this Then for year 5, I'll add this plus this. Alternative, you can sum it, and I'll get that. So this is the free cash flow. So after free cash flow, we have cumulative cash flows. So cumulative, we are going to use it to get our payback period. So I'll do the cumulative. So I'll pick this for year 0. Then for year 2, for year 1, it will be this plus now an adjustment of year 1. So it will be that. So I just drag it and it will copy automatically. And increase that. We'll also increase that. So you can see. So Roman 1, we say the payback period equals, this is the formula. You will use the if function. So you say equals to if, and then we'll take the cumulative cash outflow, the first one. So you take this, you say is less than 0, comma, then the second one is greater than 0. Then you close the bracket and you say comma. Then you go to the period. Then you add ABC function, ABS function, sorry. Then you pick the cumulative cash flow. Then you divide it by the year 1 cash inflow. Then you say bracket. Then you say enter. When you say enter, it will, you just say yes. So it will give you a false impression. So you just drag it all through. So when you drag it, you'll realize that year 3, it will give you 3.5. So the payback period is 3.5 years. Then Roman 2, we have the NPV. So NPV, just use the NPV function, equals NPV. Then you select from year 1 the way to year 5. Then you close the bracket, then you add the initial cash outlay. Sorry, let me undo this. So for NPV, we start with rate, comma, then you select the free cash flow from year 1. Then you shift add this one. It will give you this. So it's a positive NPV. So we accept the project. Then you go to PI, which is the profitability index. And this is how you do it. You say equals bracket negative is the free cash outlay. So you pick this, say negative, then you pick it. Then you add it to the NPV. Then you close the bracket. Then you divide the whole of this with the negative. Now again, the cash outlay, and you enter. It will give you 1.13. So it's more than 1. So it means that the project should be accepted. Then we go to Roman 3, which is now the question is, using a graph, determine the project's internal rate of return. So this is how you do it. We first do the IRR with the normal formula. So we say I equals to IRR This is how you do it. You pick all the values from year 0. You select from year 0, you select all through to year 5. Then you just enter. it will give you 17%. So once it gives you 17%, now we are going to use the graph. And we know that for the internal rate of return is whereby the NPV is 0. Internal rate of return is where the NPV is 0. So what we are going to do, we are going to guess. So we are going to say discount rate 2, then this is the NPV. So I'll start with 0%. Then I'll go up to, I want to go up to 20%. So I'll pick, I'll go to fill, I'll go to series, I'll go to column. Then my step value is 1%. And I'll stop at 20%. This is a shortcut for filling, because BDA is you need to have so much speed to move faster. So I've just filled it up to 20%. So for NPV, I'm going to start. You can see we have 17 here. So I'm going to start with 0%. So I'm going to say equals NPV. The rate still is 12%. That's what we are going to use. Then comma, I'll select all through from year 1. Select all the way. Then I'll add the initial investment. And because I don't want to do for 1%, 2%, what I'll do, I'll lock these cells. So for D8, for the one for the discount rate, I'll only lock the column, which is D, with the dollar sign. Then for this, I'll lock all of this because it's constant all through. So I'll lock it with F4. I will lock it with F4. I'll also lock this with F4. I'll also lock this with F4 because they're constant. Then I say enter. So once I enter that, I'll just drag all through up to 20%. Let me undo it if there's a problem. Let me undo it. So this is equals NPV rate, which the discounting rate, the rate which you are using is 12. And the values, pick that. Then I'll add to this. Yeah, so that's the value. Say general. Then I'll lock this. Shift. Then I'll also lock this. All of this F4 because it's constant. I'll also lock this. F. So I'll only lock this. F4, then I'll also lock this because it's also constant. F4, then I'll say enter. So once I've entered, let me remove the percentage, say general. Then now, because now the formula is there, so I just drag it. I don't know why it's not copying there. I want it to copy. Let me do it again. So this is NPV. The rate is 12. Then the values. Then you add one. F4. Then I'll also have to shift, that, then enter. So general. I don't know where the problem is. Is this equals to NPV, the rate, yeah, the rate is 0, comma, then these values you'll take from, comma, then you add the cash outlay. Then because I don't want to do it all through, I'll lock these cells here. So I'll lock this because it's constant. I'll also lock this because it's constant. But I'll lock this J only because it's a column. So I'll only lock this for the discount rate. Then I'll lock this completely. F4. I'll also lock this completely. F4 and enter. Yeah. So that's it. So I say general. Then I'll just drag because now I've locked everything. So when I drag it, you can see at 17%, we have a negative. So it means that there is within between 16 and 17%. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to select this. Yeah, once you select that, we are going to go to insert. Then we go to recommended. Then we will pick this. Yeah, and that's the graph. Now we will have the graph. Let me put it here so that you can see it clearly. So that's the graph. So the graph, you can see from the graph at 0, the 15%, 20%, then it means that here, this is 17%. So this is how you do it. This is now how you do the last part. So this is what the examiner was looking for. So thank you and have a blessed evening. Thank you so much.